All right, you guys, what's going on? It's your boy Town Biz. So I thought I would do a live and tackle this particular subject. Now, it appears that some people, or should I say, a lot of people, have an issue with Shakur Stevenson working with Jake Paul, him and Raymond Ford and Montana Love. If I'm not mistaken, they're getting him, uh, properly, you know, properly ready for his showdown with Tank Davis. So they are getting him in preparation for the fight with Tank, which is going to take place around a month from now, if I'm not mistaken, in Miami, Florida. So, with that being said, there are some people that are at odds with Shakur Stevenson. They're calling Shakur Stevenson a coon, a sellout, Sambo for working with Jake Paul. Well, this is how I feel about the situation. I think people are putting too much on this. Now, even though I understood where people were coming from with the Booth situation, which, by the way, it didn't turn out in Canelo's favor anyway, so it's basically much to do about nothing. It's irrelevant. Now, what I don't seem to understand is now all of a sudden, this is what I mean with the so-called fake militant black people. Now all of a sudden is, oh, Shakur, you shouldn't help a white man defeat the black man when Tank was very vocal in his defense of Ryan Garcia, despite the racist shit that Ryan Garcia said and the fact that Ryan Garcia was caught cheating against Devin Haney. So now that's what I mean. Y'all motherfuckers are real inconsistent with the militant shit. I mean, you pick and choose when you want to do the black fist thing. Me myself, I don't care. I really don't think it's that big of a deal because have you guys forgot this fight is not going to go against neither one of these guys' actual records. You know, it's going to be sort of like what you would call a sort of like what Muhammad Ali did with Rocky Marciano, where they had a simulated fight and how it would turn out. They shot two different scenarios where they had Muhammad Ali getting stopped by Rocky Marciano. Then they had Muhammad Ali, if I'm not mistaken, stopping Rocky Marciano. So, um, what's the big deal? It's not like Tank is going to have a blemish on his record. It's not going to be, it's not going to be a loss or a win. Now they're going to have some judges score the fight. Some what if Georgia, what if judges, like what if this had been an actual fight? So I think people need to. I think people need to tone it down a little bit, and I think people need to calm down. I don't think it's that big of a deal. That's what I'm saying. Since when do we owe Tank loyalty? I mean, Tank was very vocal about, cooning it up, defending Ryan Garcia. And then you got certain people um, defending Tank, saying that Shakur Stevenson and Raymond Ford and other people is jealous. Like, man, what is there to be jealous of? I mean, how you jealous of? I mean, at the end of the day, that sound kind of silly when you basically trying to get a fight with somebody. You basically trying to get a fight to see who's the best of you two, and then you got people because they cool with a certain group of people sitting up here, you know, sitting up here like cosplaying this stuff, like and gaslighting this stuff, which there's nothing to be lit because I'm gonna say this once again, this is not going against Tank's actual record. So what is people mad? So I don't understand what the fuck is people mad about. So I don't understand. I don't understand that. So could somebody please help me understand what am I missing? I mean, some of this tank glazing is just like beyond me. It's just like, what are we doing here? What is up with all this tank glazing? Like I said before, um, Tank did a lot of weirdo stuff, and he done said a lot of weirdo stuff. At the end of the day, Tank ain't trying to fight for greatness. He ain't trying to fight for legacy. He said that out of his own mouth. He said he really don't care about no belts. He all about the check. So, oh, appreciate that, man. Appreciate that. So I'm still trying to figure out what is everybody upset about. This is not even gonna be a real. This is not even gonna be a real fight. It's not even going against Tank's record. It's not going against Jake Paul's record. Keep in mind, this fight almost didn't get sanctioned because Georgia thought it was a circus, and they was like, "Man, we're not sanctioning this." So, remember. So I'm trying to figure out what is everybody upset about. What is all these fake Lakim Shabazz, Alegum Salam, Bean Pie, my brother niggas coming from? Everybody heard the guidelines of the fight. It's not going to be an actual fight. This isn't the same as Boots helping Canelo. Like I said, it didn't fare well in Canelo's favor. It's irrelevant that the fight is irrelevant that irrelevant that he was helping him prepare for the fight because it didn't help him whatsoever. At the end of the day, Canelo got beat up. He got beat up and he got humiliated by Terrence Crawford. So the Boots thing, that was understandable because that was an actual fight. That was going against Terrence Crawford or Canelo's actual record. So I understood where people was coming from the angle that you're going against the grain, and that's not a good look. Now, me, myself, I didn't really call Boots a coon. I didn't call him a sellout, but I did express that I didn't like this. And then based off the fact how bad Canelo got beat up by Terrence Crawford, well, that's a reflection on Boots. That's a question mark around Boots. That's why Boots was feeling the way he was feeling. That's why Boots say he ain't really pursuing a fight with Terrence Crawford because that was an embarrassment on Boots. Like, oh, okay, you got Terrence Crawford. You got Terrence Crawford's opponent in camp with you, or you in camp with him and you helping him prepare to defeat Terrence Crawford when you had an opportunity to fight Terrence Crawford, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. And the funny thing is, everybody said it was a wrap for Terrence Crawford. It was a wrap. Oh, this fight is over with. This fight is already decided because Boots was in camp. And I said nothing. Just kept quiet. And then after the fight was over, then everybody looking at Boots like, oh man, like, so what was this all about? So what was the purpose of this? So Boots being in camp with Canelo didn't one way or another affect the outcome of the fight. So that's what we try to tell you with Shakur Stevenson, Raven Ford, and Montana Love being in camp with Jake Paul. That is not going to affect the fight one way or another whatsoever. Oh, okay. I don't really want to reveal that type of information on. Oh shit, I don't want to reveal that type of information on this platform. But you should know the answer to that. You should already know the answer to that. But yeah, I came across it. But I'll just put it to you that way. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just like my head is spinning a little bit. Everybody being outraged with Shakur Stevenson, and some of these are people that I know. Okay, cool. You entitled to your opinion. I'm gonna say this once again for the people in the cheap seats. This fight has no bearing whatsoever on Tank or Jake Paul's record. None. And like I said, I don't fuck with Tank Tiana. You know, I don't fuck with Tankiana. I don't mess with Tank because at the end of the day, that was weak what he did. Sat up there, went to bat. Oh, he didn't cheat. He didn't cheat. Well, how do you know? Like, dude, how you gonna sit up there and say somebody didn't cheat when obviously he did cheat? So I'm just saying he was talking, and that's the thing about Tank. Um, Tank will do everything except get in the ring with these people. He good for talking shit on social media, but he won't sign a contract to get in the ring with these dudes. And I'm definitely gonna have to talk about this situation with Brian Norman and what he said in regard to saying that there is this thing which I suspected is going on, saying that it is a valid effort to devalue black fighters, and it started at Mayweather, and Floyd Mayweather, basically fighting primarily Mexican and Hispanic fighters, especially when he became Floyd Money Mayweather. So people have an issue. So, I'm just saying, man. I'm just saying, Tank was doing some bona fide super cooning. And Tank been like that. Tank got that shit from Floyd Mayweather because Floyd be hating on black fighters. You heard what Bernie the Boxer said. Floyd didn't show no love after Terrence Crawford defeated Canelo Alvarez. And you would think Floyd would have been at a fight like that. A high, for real. Somebody Floyd stature being at a high profile fight like that, but no, Floyd wasn't nowhere to be found, but he couldn't wait to show that he won money placing a bet on Terrence Crawford. It's like, bro, like you should have been there. That's one of the issues that I have with Floyd. He never wanted to pass the torch. And that's one of the biggest things in the black community. You be like, damn, man. Like, why can't we ever stick together, man? Why it's just like it's just like when one person started to come up, when one person started to get some shine, then you just get a group of niggas that just, join forces or involuntarily just start spewing hatred and just start putting BS about this particular person, out there for people to, see. Just like all of a sudden they hating on the dude, on the oxtail dude, questioning what type of meat he sell and all that kind of stuff. That's what I'm saying. Now, I ain't gonna lie. I am gonna put this out there. Like, dude, I think that's kind of out of pocket to be charging people like almost $100 for 2 oxtails and some dirty rice. Like, that's kind of absurd, man, to be charging that kind of, money for some oxtails. I'm just keeping it a buck. And I know people gonna say that's a black owned business, but then I'm saying that as a black owned business, you gotta have the Walmart mentality where you sell stuff that's of good quality or at least decent quality, for the low. And you tally up, you know what I'm saying? You tally up your customers. You tally up your customers, you tally up a following. And that's how you build an empire and stuff. That's how Walmart became Walmart. Walmart was selling some stuff to where they wasn't even really turning a profit. I know I worked at Walmart, but what they would do is they would lower the price of something else. So basically what you would do is these prices would be so low to where you would have enough in your budget. Now this was like, 10 years ago. This is far before, where we are now as far as inflation go. And that's how they became that's how they became the multi-billion-dollar conglomerate that they are now recognized as. And that's just real. They told me how it works. They told me some of their secrets and stuff. I ain't gonna say everything, because Walmart got them super lawyers. So I'm just saying they just told me how they became a multi-billion-dollar empire conglomerate. That's just real talk. So just wanted to say that about homeboy. I don't like people like hating on the dude like that, but still at the same time, like I ain't buying no, I ain't buying no two or three oxtails and some rice and a soda for no almost $100. That's just like, come on, man. Like, nah, for real. Nah, for real. I'm just that's what that's what people did tell. I ain't hating on the dude. I ain't hating on the dude. They didn't accuse him of selling miss. I'm not accusing him, but you got people that's been putting that out there about him. So didn't come from me. I'm saying I'm using this as a talking point. I'm using this as a talking point. It's not me. I've seen the videos of people doing that with that dude. So, just wanted to put that out there as a example. But no, I'm gonna say this about Shakur as an individual. I done met Shakur several times, and I done interviewed Shakur. I can't lie. I do. I am kind of fond of Shakur Stevenson, but do I like some of the stuff that he be saying and stuff online? You just be like, bro. That's what happens when you don't have a publicist. And I don't think he have a publicist. People like Terrence Crawford and Andre Ward, they got publicists, and I know who their publicist is too. I just think Shakur need to hire a PR person, because I will say this about Shakur Stevenson that I don't like about him. Sometimes Shakur has shown over the years to be a little too emotional about certain things that get said about him. If he don't have to respond to everything, just like me, I don't respond to everything. I'm at the point where I really don't have to respond to any and everything now. It takes a lot for me to respond to stuff. Like I said, there's always going to be somebody that's not going to like you. That's just the way of life. How you handle them, whether whether you handle them from afar or whether you have to handle them if you run into them in person, that comes down to you. So, well, I mean, I think it's no secret about that. I don't think that's a secret. Like Shakur, he sometimes, he just get a little, I just think he shouldn't respond to everything. I don't think he should always respond to the media. I just think he should respond to certain people. So, he's still 28 years old, so he don't understand. Like Devin didn't got out of that. Devin don't respond to everything no more. And I just think it's a good thing. Like sometimes you should give people that energy. Just like it's certain content creators that you shouldn't respond to. You leave that to me. Where you got that dude, you got Garfield the cat with his goofy ass saying he said something so ridiculous about Terrence Crawford. It just really shows you how some of these dudes are just so desperate to go viral and get clicks to where they don't have no problem demeaning themselves and demeaning their brand, which me, I'm not going to do that. I've been dealing with this way too long. And I'm at a point, I got to be me. I'm going to always speak the truth, at least best of my abilities. But well, Shakur Stevenson don't have quote unquote what you would call a male figure in his life. I don't know what the situation with his father is. Don't really know the situation what his mother is neither, because I don't know what his mother looks like. Don't know what his father looks like, but I don't know. I don't think his father comes to any of his fights or anything. I don't even think that his mother, Shakur's mother, comes to his fight. So, but he's trained by his grandfather. which obviously that's his mother's father. So, you know, like I said, I'll be liking some of the things that Shakur be doing. Just like I don't like how he try to go back and forth with the black and Puerto Rican thing. Like 1 minute you want to be Puerto Rican, then the next you want to be black. It's like, bro, you shouldn't try to play both sides of the fence. Okay, at the end of the day, many people see you as a black man. Just stay on that side. Okay, you wasn't hollering that when you was coming up in the Olympics, and you wasn't hollering that when you was an up and coming boxer. You would be back and forth with that, and I already know whose idea it was for you to say that. So come on, man. Okay, so that explains it. Okay, so I didn't really know the origins of what was going on with his father and stuff. So I don't know whether his mother comes to fights because I don't even know what his mother looks like. Yeah, Carmelo Anthony got Carmelo Anthony is funny too. He another one that be going back and forth with that. I mean, we already know what Carmelo Anthony is. We know what his ex-wife is. I mean, this like you shouldn't even try to play that game because ain't nobody accepting that. I don't even think you accept that. I just think you just shouldn't be doing that just to be doing it. Me myself. You shouldn't try to do something that you feel at the time may be fashionable to do that because once again it comes across as being disingenuous, and you know Carmelo Anthony and Shakur Stevenson come across as disingenuous. I mean, it's nothing that it's nothing. It's nothing that we're saying that isn't inaccurate because I think it's very accurate. Yeah, Carmelo Anthony did that, I think, at his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I was like, bro, man, you don't be talking that stuff on your podcast. But they're the type of people that I'll be saying sometimes you got to kind of watch them because they do be trying to play both sides of the fence. So, you know, I just think, I just think, bro, like, don't wait till you 40 to start like trying to bang that. Oh, like, bro, like, come on, man. Yo, supporters, your main line of support were black, bro. No Puerto Rican didn't give a fuck about you, bro. I'm just keeping it a buck. And the same thing with Shakur Stevenson. They don't, no Puerto Ricans don't really rock with Shakur Stevenson like that. Shakur Stevenson's biggest supporters are black. Yeah, that kind of stuff. I'll be kind of like, you know, I kind of be like, man, don't like back and forth it. I'm just saying Carmelo Anthony was black his whole NBA career and post NBA career. Then he gives this Hall of Fame speech, but like, bro, come on, man. If you look at Shakur Stevenson, you wouldn't even be that. You just think Shakur Stevenson is just some regular black dude. Same thing with Carmelo Anthony. Well, I don't be hearing Lala like talking that shit. Lala, for the most part, every interview I done seen her on, she just says she black. For the most part, Rosie Perez says identifies as black for the most part. You know, she'd do the Latino thing when she every once in a while, but for the most part, when I've seen Lala, she just identifies black. Rosie Perez, her, uh she's always said that she was a black Latino woman. So I mean, whatever. I met Rosie Perez, good lady. I'm just saying, like, finishing off this video and stuff, because I gotta pack it in. I gotta get up early in the morning. But I'm gonna say this about Shakur. To me, this has much to do about nothing. I think this is more fake outrage and people trying to justify, and trying to give Tank a pass for when he was cooning, against Devin Haney. And then somehow they also trying to connect this to Boots and Canelo, where they trying to say we being inconsistent with our Afrocentricity, which no, we're not. It's them. That's true. All right, you guys. I gotta pack it in, but I may turn back up in a couple hours, but we'll see.